Hello, my name's Craig Charles and I'm in Glasgow. Why, you ask, am I in Glasgow? I'm here for Intersection, the 53rd World Science Fiction Convention, and in this monster of a building behind me, over 5,000 people have showed up to pay homage to sci-fi. Now, before I pop my head round the door and have a look at what's going on, here's a little rummage through the lucky bag of treats that we've got in store for you, you lucky people. Okay, thrill seekers. On tonight's programme, we'll have the singing Klingons coming on strong, some fruity, futuristic fantasy. We'll be outing an MP and a QC. We'll have close encounters of a catwalk kind, and we can marvel at British comic superheroes. It was Pathé Pacific in the past, but you can tune in to news from the future. Beam me up, Scotty.
This convention is like a Babylon.
I'm here for the 52nd time at a World Science Fiction Convention. It was the very first one in 1939 when a young Ray Bradbury was busy getting autographs rather than giving them.
I'm Hiroshi Miyagi. I'm from Osaka, Japan.
My name is Jürgen Marzi. I'm coming from Germany.
I'm Silviu Ionescu. I'm coming from Romania.
Science fiction to me is the literature of ideas, and a place like this, an event like this, is an opportunity for exchanging ideas.
Worldcon is some place that you can forget the mundane world, you know.
In one word, it's friendship. You make friends from all over the world.
Well, this seems to be a mega event in what concerns the science fiction world.
Meeting people is the nicest part, I'd say. That they're very lovely, they're very friendly, open, and they're always ready to talk.
It bothers me that science fiction fans are seen as nerds, basically, but I don't know many people who are like that.
This reputation is really irritating sometimes, because that's why the media people tend to focus. They tend to focus on people wearing fancy dresses and telling some things about UFOs.
And when people meet you and they first see that you're a normal, a nice person, and then you tell them you read science fiction, they say, well, okay. But it doesn't bother me, you know, when they think there's a little bit something wrong with me and say, well, that's their problem, not mine.
I'm a kind of fan who prefers The Prisoner to Star Trek. I know it's a little bit fancy, but you know what I mean.
As the saying goes, I've been a science fiction fan since I know myself.
In science fiction, I've packed into it a trip around the solar system and out to the stars and to the center of the Earth. You know, H.G. Wells has taken me in his time machine, and it's an opportunity to live dozens of lives in one.
Science fiction means a kind of waiting for a sign, a big sign from the skies. We are ready.
It's only science fiction, but I like it.
Well, fans may flock here from throughout the world. Excuse me, ma'am, where are you from?
Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But what makes these people tick? Well, to separate fact from fiction, I went straight to the top. Terry Pratchett, Britain's best-selling science fiction author. Does he think that fans live up to their nerdy image?
Anorak's pointy ears, that's an unrepresentative majority. I think what you have to remember is that these are people on holiday apart from anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kicking back and having fun. And I've spoken to management of hotels that have had SF conventions, and they say, it's great. We sold lots of beers. Everyone was very polite. You know, but last week we had the Rotary clubs. You know, we had to have the stairs repaired and the lifts fumigated.
But there is that kind of sad element to it, though.
I find them perfectly charming in every respect.
It's a serious society with a sense of humour.
A case could be made, however,
Okay.
dispassionately, that SF and fantasy are a genre that is absolutely tailor-made for people that don't fit in some way. Yeah. Because they're too intelligent, or they're the wrong size, or, you know, they can't quite get it together in some way. You can certainly make that case, and I think a lot of fans would agree that there is an element of that in it. But at the end of the day, what will help? You can make jokes about the fans, and often the fans enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've seen people with nerd pride badges, and, glad to be sad. Down there, you will see dozens and dozens of bookstores.
Yeah.
And you will see the £10 notes flowing across the counter like a tidal wave. These are people, from my point of view, these are people who are buying and reading books on a continual basis. Long may they live, because I'm getting some of that money.
So, all in all, for you, sci-fi fans are the salt of the air.
So, yeah, yes. Pale and sharp, no, I wouldn't say that.
And conventions are unmissable.
Conventions are good fun. You can have a lot of laugh about it. On the other hand, you think you get doing a lot of money, but on the whole, giving a lot of people a lot of pleasure, and for doing what you want to do in any case. And you look around and think, there's kind of no downside.
Science fiction movies have come a long way since the 1950 black and white Bees, with the evil scientist slaving away in his dungeon laboratory. 1995 has been the summer of science fiction. Movies everywhere have travelled to the outer limits of space and time. Batman Forever exploded onto the scene. Barely was the sweat dry from his previous occupant, Michael Keaton, when Val Kilmer was squeezing his cute butt into the famous rubber suit. It's a fast-paced action movie that's big on colour and special effects. But even they have to try and keep up with Jim Carrey's over-the-top antics. Take it away, Jim.
Batman, you say? Coming for you! I'm counting on it!
In a similarly futuristic city, Sylvester Stallone strutted his funky stuff as the legendary anti-hero Judge Dredd in a science fiction action adventure based on the British comic book.
Double whammy. Double whammy.
The year is 2139, and the most famous of the Megacity 1 judges is framed for murder.
I never broke the law!
The film is the perfect outlet for Sly's monotone voice and catchphrases. I am the law. As I always say, keep it simple, Sly.
I've never apologized.
This summer also saw the long-awaited arrival of Kevin Costner's Waterworld. As the title suggests, it's set in a future where the Earth is covered by water, and where the only refuge is floating cities or atolls. The thrust of the story is the battle between Costner's character, the Mariner, and pirate boss Dennis Hopper, playing the psycho with a worrying amount of ease.
Dry land is not just our destination.
Both of them are fighting for possession of a young girl, whose tattooed back is rumoured to be a map with directions to the mythical dry land. The only copy of the A to Z must have been lost overboard. Well, that's what's been, but this is to come. Johnny Mnemonic is based on the short story by William Gibson, writer of Neuromancer, Mona Lisa Overdrive, and creator of Cyberpunk. It stars Keanu Reeves as a bio-enhanced smuggler for hire. In plain English, this means Johnny can smuggle information in his brain.
More storage capacity. I can carry nearly 80 gigs of data in my head.
But the data's been stolen, and everyone's after Johnny. Everyone.
Double cheese anchovies?
Mortal Kombat is a science fiction fantasy starring Christopher Lambert as Lord Raiden, the god of speed and lightning.
We will decide the outcome.
It's a live-action adaptation of the hugely successful Mortal Kombat video game, where the main protagonists are engaged in a tournament to the death, or at least better box office returns than Super Mario Brothers.
One more victory.
Your soul. Finally, get ready for Species, where the nightmare of alien life forms becomes a terrifying reality.
Brad. Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this.
It's your classic science fiction alien horror, where earthbound scientists tamper with alien DNA with potentially fatal results. Now you'd think these scientists would know better. Haven't they seen all the other classic science fiction alien horror films?
Johnny's about to copulate with a creature from outer space.
Using all the latest morphing techniques, Species is an alien for the 90s. Well, I'm bound to find what I'm looking for here. Rock pop, no. Top 40 soul, no. Rap, no. Reggae. Excuse me, do you work here?
Yeah.
I thought you sold every type of music.
We do. What is it you're looking for?
Filk music.
What?
Filk rhymes with milk.
Sorry, I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of it? Jeez, I thought I'd get what I wanted here. 26 requests on national radio, 15 record shops, and still no filk music. These buskers here, do you know any filk music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, great, well, give us a tune. Oh, come on, give us a tune, give us a tune. Music in the ilk of filk. What is filk music?
It's the folk, well, not just folk, but it's the music of science fiction fans. It covers science fiction, fantasy, science facts, cats, computers, anything else that happens to be a topic of conversation for fandom.
Well, I mean, you say it's not just folk, but I mean, that sounded pretty folky.
Yeah, it was, but some of the stuff I do, I play in about a filk band called Phoenix. Some of the stuff we do is straight rock.
Straight rock?
Yeah.
I'll have one more photon torpedo, Harry.
Hello, is that Chris Evans, Radio 1? Yeah, Chris, you think you know about music? You know nothing, man. Get a load of this. This is the future.
I should happen to fall off my seat. Just let me slip to the... Back in 1963, in Vostok 6 she flew. Those few bright days in sunny June, when all space flight was new.
If you remember, Helen Sharman was the first British astronaut, and I wanted to write a song that celebrated this. And I suddenly realized that she was born in the year in which Valentina Tereshkova became the first woman in space. And having worked that out, then of course I could write a song which dealt with not all, but most of the women who have gone up into space.
Making the dream live on.
I mean, do you have a Filkers convention?
Yeah, there's one every year. Valerie's wearing the T-shirt.
And it's called Obliterate in Milton Keynes in '96. So if you want to be where it's happening, where the people are, where the hipsters, flipsters and finger-popping daddies are going to be, it's Milton Keynes.
Valentina's footsteps on that long road out to the stars.
Not all science fiction fans stick out like an anorak in August. Sometimes the most unlikely people are advocates of life beyond the stars.
I've been a fan of Star Trek really ever since it first came out. Not the new version of it, but the original version. And I suppose I've seen all the originals several times, and the films, goodness knows how many occasions.
I'd watched The Outer Limits and Twilight Zone, when I was a lot younger, and Star Trek was the next one to come along. But it was Star Trek that triggered my interest in science fiction in general, so I've always retained a kind of affection for Star Trek because of that.
Some of the gadgetry that was involved was simple, and it actually looked as though it could work. You didn't feel that you were just looking at some very clever special effects. And I suppose the most important thing was the fact that the characters were right. It was like the really successful sitcoms. If you think of Steptoe and Son and Dad's Army, the people who were the actors suited the characters that they were being asked to play.
I think what people forget is that when the first Star Trek was coming out was at the time when the whole idea of the space, exploration was very current. As a young teenager, I remember my father taking me down to watch John Glenn's capsule going around the world, and you could actually see it when he was up for 4 days. And I remember being taken down to watch that, and then the whole business about landing on the moon and things like that. The whole concept of space travel was one that appeared to be just about to open up enormously, and of course that didn't happen. But Star Trek was along at that particular time. I read the books and I watch the videos. I'm absolutely up to date with Deep Space Nine and with Star Trek Voyager, which of course is the 4th Star Trek series. I've got various bits and pieces that people give me birthdays and Christmases. It's like owning a cat, which I do as well, or interest in Star Trek. People always, opt for this as the easy option when you need to buy presents or anything. So I've got a variety of bits and pieces that folk have given me. The Spock stand-up was a present. I've got an Enterprise telephone that I was given as a present. I've got a phaser and a communicator and stuff like that.
Well, I think I'd like to meet a Klingon because they are the archetypal baddies. And I think it would be interesting to find out just what makes these people tick. I think there's something very deep and sinister about them. Plus the fact nobody who is that ugly can be real. Donald Finlay, Queen's Counsel.
Nuchnech, Gnois Kragen, Klingons Unite.
Sit down. I suppose in my line of work I've probably defended quite a few Klingons over the years, albeit they didn't admit to where they came from. I've met quite a few baddies, but you lot are in a class by yourselves. What makes you so evil?
I think it's the way, the style of the uniform and the clothes that we wear. They look evil. When we walk through the streets, it's like Moses parting the waves, as your Terran sayings go. You know, they also seem to get out of our road.
And of all the people that you've met, who would you most like to destroy? Romulans, Vulcans, Earthmen, or lovers of country music?
Lovers of country music.
I think we would all agree about that. And as we say in Scotland, gun yourself. Nice to have met you.
Nice to have met you, Donald.
Well, I just certainly don't feel sad and pathetic, and none of the folk I know that like Trek are sad and pathetic at all. Most of us are incredibly busy with very, very serious jobs indeed. So maybe Trek is the kind of antidote to what we do in our lives.
Oh, I don't regard it as a confession being into Star Trek. I think anybody who is not into Star Trek has led a very deprived upbringing. I think Star Trek is necessary watching for everybody.
Science fiction fans seem to have a reputation for wearing costumes and dressing up. In fact, one of the biggest things in any convention is the masquerade ball, where conventioneers compete for best in show. Well, why do they do it? This is Craig Charles for Me Up Scotty. Finding out.
It's a Tanu, which is an alien being from a series of books by Julian May. It's got alien beings in it, but it's set back in Pliocene Europe. People travel back in time, but once they get there, they're stuck there. And to a lot of the people there, the powers that the aliens have, the mind powers, could seem like magic.
How long did this one take to make?
Well, 2 years in the making and about a year in the planning. It's the most expensive and glitzy costume I've ever worn.
It's a Star Trek Borg suit that I've got made up. It's 2 in the world. Just bits from the house and roundabouts, radios, shower units, central heating stuff. There's even a camera, as you can see.
Is that a hot costume? I'm just asking that because you're looking a bit pale.
Yes, that's very warm. It's Kevlar and neoprene. It's extremely uncomfortable.
Why do you do it?
It's something to do on a wet night.
And for Riverhead United, there's a change from your printed programme.
Welcome back to Me Up Scotty. Now, when I was a kid, comics meant Dennis the Menace, Beryl the Peril, My Friend Desperate Dan. And when I got a bit older, it was Johnny Fartpants and Billy the Fish. But science fiction comics have got something a little bit more deadly lurking beneath the surface.
You don't necessarily have to be a fan to be in comics.
Good comics are as much art as good film.
It's the closest to slave labour of any other form of art.
You can do things in comics that you can't do in a computer game or a film.
If you want to make money, I'd suggest that go and read lots and lots of comics.
There are certainly a lot of science fiction aspects. Most of the work I'm doing, I mean, Judge Dredd is based in the future, and it is based on scenarios that could be forecast from today. I mean, the Mega City 1, the growth of cities into beyond all imagination is something that's happening in various areas.
One of the good things about science fiction is that, particularly if it's futuristic, is that visually you can come up with any style you like, and obviously people can't actually say, well, that shouldn't look like that because it hasn't, you know, I mean, it's not here yet.
Comics certainly seem to be dominated by men, certainly in the creative side and the writers and the artists, and in the readership stakes, obviously. It just seems to appeal to people in a boy's own sense.
I think it's great for adolescents to have male fantasies, you know, so I'd be too happy to write for them the rest of my life. I think there's hardly any women working in comics because the guys generally are a bit weird, you know. I think anybody who's still reading comics over the age of about 10 or 12 really, you know, should be seeing a psychiatrist. There's something wrong with you if you're into it.
Actually, you can describe a small, plain-looking woman character, and the next minute you'll see it and wait a minute, there's Pamela Anderson there, because that's because that artist has got photographs of Pamela Anderson.
Comic writers are a bit, you know, sneaky, backhanded type of people. Oh, generally, what I usually find is that artists always tend to look at each other's work and see the good points in it, and you never hear a writer saying, "Oh, I like so and so's writing," or quoting another writer as being an influence of theirs. You know, where artists do that all the time.
I think I'm usually quite disappointed with the art, you know, just because there's far too many comics produced just now, and the few good people that are working in comics are spread very thinly. And I mean, Marvel Comics, one of the two big American publishers, they bring out 200 comics a month just now, whereas 5 years ago they were only bringing out 30 or 40. And I don't think there's been an explosion in the number of good creative people. Some of the scripts which I receive from writers are very, very good. In the way that they write the story clearly and fully and explain everything so I know what's going on. But they also leave room for me to put my part of the story in. And you just get some writers who write telephone books, pages upon pages upon pages of absolute drivel.
About 75% of the time you're pleased with it. At the moment, most of the artists I tend to ask for, I seem to get them working with me, so it was a bit tougher when you're first starting out, because when you're a new writer, they'll tend to say, well, we'll start them off with a new artist, and sometimes their first few jobs they might not be up to scratch. You really are in the artist's hands.
I tend not to talk to them too much. I mean, usually what I do is send scripts to artists and hope for the best. And generally I found that the British artists I've worked with are a lot more dedicated and a lot better at what they do. The American artists seem to be very much geared to production line standards. With the British artists, usually you get back something which is more than you expected. It's kind of what William Burroughs called the third mind, and you get two people coming together and actually creating something bigger than what the two of them could have created on their own. You know, it's a much more synergistic sort of thing, to use an old hippie word.
I'm not quite sure how far there is a comics future, but there always will be one, because it's something unique. It has all the best aspects of books and films and music and whatever other bit of media you want.
The main threat that comics have right now is from video games, and I think what comics can still do that video games don't is provide emotional involvement. And certainly in the popular comics that young kids are interested in, there's a really strong soap opera element. And until games can produce that kind of level of interest in the characters in the games, then they won't be able to compete with comics.
Writing comics is just like kind of being a kid again and just putting on a towel over your back and playing at being a superhero, because you're just sitting making up stories, and you know, if you enjoy them, it seems such a shame to get paid for them. You don't have to grow up if you don't want to. That's the best thing about it.
Nowadays, news presentation changes as fast as the news itself. Satellite links bring the news instantly into your home, whilst the graphics they use would make Reggie Bosanquet fall off his bar stool. But the news is just someone dressed in their Sunday best talking at you from behind a desk. However, science fiction fans in America reckon they've come up with how the news will look in 150 years' time. And throughout this weekend, we're going to be sharing it with you, you lucky people.
Welcome to Comlink Satellite Service. You have selected Faster Than Light News Feed for Monday, 3 April, 2145.
Forget Channel 4 News and News at 10. and make way for faster-than-light news from the 22nd century.
The fraud and forgery wing of the Inter-Combine Police has...
Israel does not have a faster-than-light drive.
There's still no word of the whereabouts of missing R leader Kyle Swan.
News from the NAU.
The Earth First Brigade rules! R is dead.
We go to the Red Planet for a live statement.
Created by Matthew J. Costello and F. Paul Wilson for American cable TV's Sci-Fi channel, Faster Than Light News is a daily one-minute bulletin which comes from a world of its own.
We were extrapolating from this world to another world 150 years from now.
Citizens of the world.
The foundation of the FTL Bible we created is nothing is what it appears to be.
Oh, I know what they're up to. I know what they're up to.
Because you can present whatever image you wish to the world. And that strand went through the entire Bible we created.
Beamed to Earth from the massive Comlink satellite station, each bulletin is hosted by a nameless virtual reality anchorman. That's newsreader to you and me. And this guy is no Jon Snow.
Rumors of new trouble aboard the Nautilus continue.
The anchor is sort of our version of a mood ring. I mean, he changes color, his background changes color, he splits and divides and does any number of effects, which just sort of designates the mood of the piece.
Bravo 7 has become visible to the naked eye over the northern hemisphere, only hours away from a collision with Earth. There's a kind of hush all over the world. Who planted the intelligent computer virus aboard the Nautilus? No one seems to know for sure.
To be distilled to pure information is the highest form of existence.
We also had to figure out the whole shape of the Earth, the socio-economic, political aspects. And so I think we were influenced by what was happening in the EC.
So that was really the foundation of our world. The fact that individual states will come together for economic survival and become clusters, and we came up with the 5 combines.
The leaders of the 5 combines have already left for their respective moon bases, while their virtual reality alter egos continue to hold crisis management meetings in the VR net.
We created characters for all of the combines, and those characters were designed to really further the stories. The Hispanic Commonwealth, we had Rodriguez, and we also had people in the EC and the Asian co-prosperity sphere.
Confused? You should be. But as of today, the headlines in 2145 are dominated by the big economic powers. But it's not all politics. Another recurring news story is the internet,
An emissary from the past.
which by 2145 is the standard method of communication. But surprise, surprise, this isn't to everyone's liking.
I still say the virtual reality net should be shut down.
29 March, 2145.
But essentially, news values are not so different from today. Favoured topics for developing stories include your basic environmental panic.
Dandy Fox is spreading everywhere, sucking up oxygen wherever it grows. And if we want to see what that means, all we have to do is look at the very red, very dead planet Mars.
Intergalactic terrorism and its charismatic exponents.
The battle for the soul of R has been joined. R was never about death and terror.
The last little visitor has some incredible
And
news.
minor celebrities desperate to publicise their private lives.
Mattia and I wish to announce our, short engagement.
Well, that's the news from 2145. It's snappy, brash and garish, and is brought to you by a baldy bloke whose face changes colour more often than a drunken teenager. And I bet Michael Fish wishes he could do this.
The ozone depletion alert is centered over this area of the Midwest. Macroweather is working on the problem, but for the next few days...
Now, the reason I took this job is because I'm such a science fiction superhero. But I thought I'd better bone up on some of the literature. Now, you might expect to find intergalactic horror, tales of daring do, an investigation by an alien private dick. But this stuff is positively steamy. This would make Tweaky blush. Hey, saucy sci-fi. Beagly, beagly, beagly.
Unbelievably welcoming. Come do it to me. Do it. Do it. Here and here and here and now. You couldn't see the rest of her, only a wicked flash of mouth. Every human male in the room was aching to ram himself into that incredible body. I mean, it was pain. Even the other aliens were quiet, except one of the Syrians who was chewing out a waiter.
With our sexuality,
various things control it, various factors in the material world, everything from our economic situation to our sociological situation, the manners and mores of the time, and if you postulate a time in which those manners and mores are different, you can bring certain other things to the fore in your writing about sexuality, and then that's one of the ways science fiction allows you to sort of play with the idea of sexuality and change it.
Science fiction writers and fantasy writers can use their imagination more. They're not tied to the everyday, so they can speculate more wildly about relationships.
But is this healthy?
Well, I don't know. Judging from most of the stories I see, I would think it's healthy to get it out of their system.
One of the main things I write about is a civilization called the culture. And in the culture, things are arranged sexually bloody wonderfully, actually. I mean, it kind of comes down to, gosh, we're doing a lot of metaphors here, aren't we, and similes. It comes down to a bit like sort of car mechanics, whereas like standard humans might be compared as having sort of rack and pinion. In the culture, they have recirculating balls.
If a mid-20th century Orthodox Freudian were to present Farron with a theory of penis envy and sublimation, he would probably have said, "The only thing is I envy them too, and I've got one, nor is it small, and heaven knows I don't sublimate, I go right for it."
Almost all sort of literature was sexist in a sense, if you go back long enough. I think science fiction, because it was written by, and so in an innocent way it was, because a lot of it was written by, you know, guys who are a bit awkward, you know, around the women folk, you understand? There were lots of American engineers, you know, that did.
I'm not sure that was sexist. It was just
But every time they landed on a planet, they were all gorgeous sort of women with like...
wish fulfillment, wasn't it?
You know, I wasn't complaining, you know, but it did seem, you know, they used to land on all these beautiful planets with...
And of course, all the covers had big boobs, you know.
Yeah, that's it, things like savage women, you know.
I think science fiction attracted a lot of people simply because it was seen as a kind of oppositional writing. It was seen as having more room for sexual variation and presenting sexual roles, even as far back as the 40s and 50s.
Ha! He laughed. Listen, he arranged himself in what would have passed for a lotus position on Earth, had there been a floor to sit on, and put one hand on his hip while pointing the other vaguely to his right. They are the ones obsessed with sex. Do you know how many words there are in English for penis or vagina? Hundreds. Hundreds. How many have we got? One. One each for common usage as well as for anatomical description. Neither of them swear words. All I do is readily admit I want to put one in the other. Ready, willing, and interested. What's wrong with that? Very few men who kind of fantasize about, you know, whether it's straight or, you know, homosexual or bisexual, whatever, who haven't wondered what sex is actually like for a woman, you know. Well, in the culture, you can find out if you want to. It's not compulsory. And imagine women must wonder what it's like for men. And I think everyone would agree that orgasms just not long enough, damn it. You know, I think you'd probably also have to have a sort of a beefed up, you know, sort of cardiovascular system as well. Just literally die of a broken heart. Sort of thing, yeah.
Do you think men and women will become fundamentally incompatible in the future?
I hope not, but on the other hand, testicles are a lot more alien to women than tentacles.
In the sexual future, what would your favourite society be?
Oh, I suppose it would be one where you had where sexual health was considered having a fair amount of solitary sexual experience. At the same time, you were also supposed to balance that with a fair amount of sex with one or two or a few cherished individuals that you had permanent relations with, and at the same time, you were also supposed to balance that with a fairly broad range of sexual experience with a whole range of different people, strangers, people that you saw only very briefly. And the idea was to sort of mix and match those in such a way that you achieved a nice balance. That's the one I try for myself.
You just sound like you want your cake and eat it, mate.
Well, don't we all?
Yes.
Don't we all?
Premiered at this year's Star Trek convention in Glasgow, Nente tells the story of a young man's coming of age. It's a powerful piece, where the narrative is driven by movement, percussion, and primal howling. The text is almost Brechtian, delivered as it is in classic Klingon. It's opera, Jim, but not as we know it.
It might be violent by human standards. It is not really a very violent story. It's quite a simple tale. The story is based on Klingon tradition. It's a legend surrounding the ritual of Nente, which is the rite of ascension of a young man or boy to carry arms and weapons. In the story here, a farmer's boy offers to take the king of this particular part of the country to defeat a monster. The essential Klingonness of it is something I think humans can learn to appreciate slowly, gradually. That's why we chose this form, what they call speak song. It's mainly chanting and partly speaking to rhythm, which I think is very easy for the human.
Well, so you say, but let's ask some human experts.
When we sing in foreign languages, we have super titles, and obviously this is done on a small scale, and they're all very, very committed and really believe in what they're doing, and they do make the story clear to a certain extent, but the super titles would help.
Yeah, I would say so. Or somebody signing for the hard of understanding.
What you saw here was a very small extract of a 4-hour story. This is just a little climax at the end, and we simplified the whole thing down for a human audience to understand.
Okay, it's sung in a foreign language, and it's a bit avant-garde, but it might catch on. After all, Madame Butterfly caused a few jaws to drop when it was first performed. So, is Nente destined to be the next Carmen?
I don't think we'll be seeing it at Kleinborn.
Well, you never know.
Maybe next season.
That's it from me, Craig Charles. That's it from Me Up Scotty. Have a great weekend. Party down. May the 4 be with you. Bye! Bye!